Well, hello everyone. It's Feroshia Knight from Coach Training World, and I'm sitting here with the wonderful Carrie Ure. And Carrie's not only a coach, but she's a writer, editor, teacher. She draws upon a Buddhist perspective and many, many other things that bring her wisdom to us today. And what we're going to be talking about is something that's near and dear to her heart. But before we get jumped into the tasty topic around self-confidence, would you at least let our audience know kind of how did you come into coaching? Because we kind of had a fun history how that all started.
Hey, Feroshia, it's great to see you as usual. So I've always been one of those people that people come to for advice or looking to ask my opinion. And I met you when I was editing some of your materials, they were your training materials. And the more I got into editing your materials, I think it was a very lengthy manual that we were working on at that point. I remember those days. And I kept reading and I was like, yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I want it. I do this. I like this. This is exactly what I believe. I want to do this. And then before I knew it, I was signed up for the course. And it's all history from there.
It is history. And look at what you're doing today. You're really changing a lot of lives, helping people to connect to that inner wisdom, that inner knowing, and really helping them through spiritual coaching and your Buddhist teachings to help confidence.
It really works together. The teaching and the coaching really feed off one another. So thank you very much for this opportunity today. It's great.
Yeah. So do tell. Carrie's can actually share with us some of her wisdom around self-confidence in 3 simple steps.
Right. So I've entitled this video, Increasing Self-Confidence in 3 Simple Steps. Easy, simple, those kind of have different meanings, but simple, it's really simple to know how to do this. The hard part is taking the time to do it for ourselves. So I'll just jump in here. First, I want to give you some of the benefits about what these 3 techniques will get for you. So self-confidence is really faith in our own thinking. That's what it is. And when we have faith in our own thinking, we're really confident about our goal setting, and we're really confident about our decision making, and we're really in a place where we can access our own wisdom. Some people call it intuition. So that's where we land when we have self-confidence. When we don't have a lot of self-confidence, we're looking outside of ourselves to make decisions, right? To do everything. So I've got three steps, and they coincide very neatly with past, present, and future. So let's just start right here. We're going to go with the past. Now, one of the things that is different about coaching from, say, psychotherapy is we don't dwell a lot on the past. We really want to ground ourselves in the present, because that's where we have the power to make decisions. However, I don't know if you've heard that little ditty about you look in the rearview mirror, but you don't stare at it, right? So we're just going to glance. And that fills a lot of us with trepidation. It's like, ooh, I don't want to look at where I've been because I've just made so many mistakes. So that's why I call the first, well, let me just tell you first the name of the 3 steps that we're going to do. So we're going to do a reframe, we're going to do response, and then we're going to do reclaim. So reframe, respond, reclaim. So reframe is really about a new way of looking at our past. And the past can be whatever you want it to be. It can be just the past day or the past week, or you can have a bigger perspective and look at your whole career. Or if you're coming to a coach for spiritual coaching, you may want to look at your whole life, or you may even believe in past lives. I don't know. So it's as big a perspective as you want, it to be. Yeah.
Hey, Carrie, I'm wondering if you could unplug your headphones and go without them, because yes. I think there might be what we call
noise. Let's see. How's that? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right.
Thank you.
So we don't want any annoying background static. So.
Not when you're delivering such great wisdom.
Okay. Well, it's always
It's fun I love doing this because we're going to talk more about this in a minute about being grounded in the present, but it's really fun to just be natural with whatever's happening, whatever's arising. This is definitely what we want. All right, so reframing the past. Again, any perspective from just today and yesterday to all the way back to past lives, depending on our belief system. What we want to do when we reframe is we want to look back, and it's so easy for us to criticize ourselves. The reframe is, can we find things in the past that we've done that are good? And it really literally doesn't matter what it is. So if I'm really stuck in a place of self-loathing, I can't move forward. And sometimes it's just a little thing that can get me going on a path of thinking a little bit better about myself, and then better and better and better. So I might just think about yesterday. Okay, what did I do good yesterday? Well, I fed my cat. He really enjoyed that, and it was really good for him. And I remembered to take care of him, or I brushed my teeth, and I'm really doing some good things for my dental hygiene, or I commute to work and I got up and gave an older person a seat. That was a really kind thing to do. So when we begin to give ourselves credit for the little things we do that are good, we're more prone to remembering the bigger things, the things that tend to take up our headspace at night when we try to go to sleep. So, and as Feroshia, as you mentioned, I have a Buddhist background, and a lot of what I have to say today comes directly from Buddhist teachings. And we have a practice in Buddhism. It's called rejoicing. And the first place that we want to rejoice is in ourselves. And our culture doesn't give us a lot of leeway for this, right?
No, I mean, it's almost as if we take the time to rejoice, we're wasting time. Got to get back on the track. And I see that so much. So I'm loving that word, rejoicing.
Yes, the type A personality, right? It's like, oh, I don't have time to stop and congratulate myself because I just got to get on to the next thing. Or that other thing our culture does for us, if we really pay attention and we don't want to brag about ourselves. Like, I don't know about you, but I haven't gone to very many networking events where you go around the room and say one good thing you've done. I mean, imagine. And then you had everybody applaud. So if our culture or our work or our family are not going to do this for us, well, we can't depend on them doing it for us. We need to do it for ourselves. So this whole step is all about rejoicing. And you can actually keep what I call a Plan B journal. And Plan A is beat up on myself, flog myself, beat myself, criticize myself, right? That's easy to do because it's in our habits. Plan B is keep a journal of the good things that I'm doing and watch how quickly you notice things turning around.
Well, what I'm hearing is you're actually building muscles and building new neural networks, because now you're going to start really putting your attention on what's working, and even better, the good things you're doing, the positive parts of you in your life.
That is correct. And the next question is, well, how do you know if you've done something good? Well, a little secret that we learned from Buddhist teachings is that it's not good because of the result that happens. I mean, how many times have you just spent all your time finding the perfect gift and you deliver it and the person's like, meh, right? That doesn't take away from all the joy that you felt really thinking about that person and all the incredible good vibes you put into that. They did, maybe they don't have the wherewithal to get it, but you get something. So we always want to look at the intention. What was the intention? Don't focus so much on the result, because if you have good intention, I really believe that eventually your good intentions will bear fruit. Now, you don't want to be stupid about it, but just check your intention. If it's good, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute. I'm going to tell you how to really know whether your intentions are good.
Well, I'm curious, because what's coming up for me, and just kind of test my understanding, it's almost like really connecting to your why, and like, why are you doing this, and are you feeling good about it as you're talking about it? And I'm just curious, like, could it be me doing good for someone else, or maybe me doing good for myself, or maybe me feeling good and doing good just in my work in general? Because I think that vibration would just exude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can start to see where the self-confidence component comes in, because pretty soon you're going to get a laundry list if you keep this little journal, or this running tab in your head, replacing the bad things you think you've done and replacing it with good. You're going to start to see patterns. Oh, I feel good when, oh, and that's good for other people. Wow. Or you'll start to see the things that you really don't really want to be doing anymore. Or you'll start to see, there's a whole list of things that aren't on here. I must not like to do that. So maybe that's not the right approach for me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's number one, reframe, and it's about the past, and we don't, necessarily need anybody over our shoulder doing that. We can keep it to ourselves, but the key thing to remember is to rejoice in yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so going on to number two, responding. Responding authentically in the moment. Try not to put too much jargon in this. We tend to banty terms around without really knowing what they are. So I love to look up words in the dictionary. So I did look up the word respond, because I wanted all of my 3 steps to be a re something, right? In honor of Mercury retrograde. That's the way I propitiate Mercury, by everything. So respond, unlike react. Respond means to react with in a desired way, in a good way, to have a good or desired reaction to something. Respond is about reacting, but being in control of the reaction. Respond actually means, the number one definition, Merriam-Webster, was to answer a question or a request. Number 2 was to have a good or desired reaction to something. Number 3 was to be answerable. So when you're responsive, you're answerable. Now, who or what are we answering? We're answering ourselves. So when we're in the present, we're asking the question and we're answering it both. And this is an important keystone to coaching. Find a coach who really is getting you to dig in for your own answers. If they're giving you answers, that's not coaching, it's consulting. It may have a place in your life, but it's not really coaching. So coaching is going to teach us how to ask the question and answer it for ourselves. So important. So I have a little process for you to get grounded in the moment. Are you ready for it?
Okay.
All right. Okay, so you can do this anytime. You could be standing or sitting. Nobody has to know you're doing this. But a quick way to get yourself out of anxiety, out of being somewhere else. There's only 2 other places our minds could be, right? In the past, regretting stuff. We're thinking about stuff. Oh, I wish I should have done. I could have done. Or we can be in the future, worrying about what's to come. Anxiety, we call it, right? So the present is the only place we can actually make decisions, and the present is the only place that we can feel self-confident, because it's the only place where we really have power. So this little step, again, 3 little steps that you can do, and it's finding your feet, checking your base, and observing your breath. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. So if you're seated, or if you're standing, either one, just find your feet, literally feel your feet on the ground. You can wiggle your toes, or you can just feel the energy going through your feet. Just know that you have feet. Feel that you have feet. Got it?
Got it.
The next one's a little bit delicate to talk about, so sorry if I hem and haw here. You want to check your base. Your base is basically your perineum, your bottom. It's a place where we tend to squeeze when we're uptight. So check your base and just relax it a little bit. Just let go a little bit. Just make sure you're not clenching. And if you're in a chair, you can just like really, ground your bottom in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you still got your feet?
Still got my feet. My bottom is intact. Not too relaxed, but just enough to feel present.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to have a little tension there, but not too much. So just sometimes it's a little bit like a pulling up. Some of us are too loose, some of us are too tight. So just find your happy medium. All right, that's number 2. Number 3, sigh and just watch your breath. Look at your breath. Now, we don't want to change our breath. We don't want to, manage our breath. Just observe the breath. So this is the 3rd step, and it's where you want to land. Just watch your breathing. Now, I have seen remarkable, incredible success with this technique. I use it with my coaching clients, especially when you get to that place where I've asked a question and either they don't know how to answer, they panic, or they go into their heads and start to tell a long story, and none of that is helping move them forward in their process. So I'll just have them stop. I'll remind them, because they know the technique. I'll say, okay, find your feet. Sometimes they just need to say, find your feet, and that's all they need. Find your feet, check your base, watch your breath, and then I'll ask the question again. It's amazing, completely different response. That's us being authentic in the moment.
When I love the fact that you're incorporating, some grounding, some centering, and then of course the mind-body connection with breath to calm the nervous system down. And then we have access to everything that's not available when we're not in a state where we can receive.
Correct.
And so quick.
Yeah, it's quick. And now we have a definition for those terms that we tend to use: grounding, centering, mind-body connection. If you were ever wondering what all those things are about, this is it, simply. That's all there is to it. And how much more confident do we feel when we're in the present moment? That is what centering is. That is what grounding is. Pretty cool.
It is, and I want to actually emphasize that I think there's a significant number of people that actually think that there's this big process, with the mind-body mindfulness, and it's going to be weird, or, if, and then once they notice, oh, it's not that big of a deal, or they have a firsthand experience of the true amazing effects of it, then, it's kind of like the new cup of coffee.
Oh my gosh, totally. I have spoken to people who are used to doing 2 or 3 hours of spiritual practice a day just to feel normal. Now, just substitute anything. People who have to shop 5 days a week to feel normal. People who have to have a whole pot of coffee to feel normal. Right? This is the normal that we're seeking. This is the new normal. Yes. Find your feet. Check your base. Observe your breath. And you're ready for anything.
I think we should do together an out breath. And then whoever's watching, you just got to try it. It feels so good. So you lead.
So find your feet.
Okay.
Wiggle your toes. Check your base. And now release your breath.
I can just feel it, everything just feels like it's unfolding. And that peaceful, easy feeling that's, even in front of a camera that can be like, oh my God, there's a camera. It's like, hey, there's a camera.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is you can do this as much as you want. You don't need permission. You don't need a license. It doesn't hurt you. It helps you. And it helps those around us. So when we are, let's think about going into a tense situation. You have to ask for a raise, or you've got to ask that big question in your relationship that you've been wanting to ask. And you're being coached through this. And this is the tool that can help you in that moment access all the wisdom that you already possess. You already possess it. It's all in there. It's,
Mm.
do we have access to it? Can we touch it? Do we really allow it to come up? This is what I find. I mean, time and time again, this is what I'm finding with my clients. It's a matter of just not being able to touch it. All right, so now that we have dealt with our past and we're rejoicing in ourselves, we've got a pretty good handle on the present. Just got to keep breathing, finding my feet, checking my base. I can think about the future, you know, because life right now here in the present moment is pretty darn good. I don't have a rhinoceros in front of me about to head in my direction. So how do I approach this one about thinking about the future? And I call this reclaiming my own wisdom. Why? Because my future steps are right here. The seed of my future steps are right here in the present moment. It's the only place they can be. And when I'm feeling stuck, that deer in the headlights look, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, too many choices, when I'm feeling anxious because I might make the wrong decision, I have a technique that is foolproof. And it's called the 6 benefits. And this is an actual Buddhist teaching. We can expand it to 8 down the road, but right now we're just going to go with 6 because we're doing the 3 thing really, really well today. So, so the 6 benefits, it's a cost benefit, it's a benefit analysis basically, and it really appeals to our analytic minds. And yet we can't answer these 6 questions unless we're grounded in our, we shouldn't answer them unless we're really grounded, because we're making our best decisions when we're in the present and we're grounded in our body. So we want to ask, is this good for my mind and my body? So I could do this when I'm about to get that second piece of chocolate cake, right? Is this good for my mind and my body? Well, it's good for my mind because I really want it and it would feel really good. My body, not so much. Okay, so we got to know. So we can reject that right out of hand. Is it good for me and for others? This is the second set. Is it good for me and for others? This kind of reminds us, I wouldn't say force, that's a little too strong. It does remind us to think of others, not just ourselves. Or some people, I tend to think of others before myself. But the bottom line is something's not good unless it's good for me and for others. Now, do we know everything exhaustively? No. Can we predict everything? No. But we just make the best decision in our gut. And if we are in the present, connected, our body and mind are connected, we're in our hearts, then we just do the best we can and we can feel good about the decision. So is it good for me and others? And then the third set is it good now and is it good in the future? This prevents us from having that short-sighted thinking that really trips some of us up. Well, it was a good idea at the time. How many times have you heard that?
I never said that.
What's that?
I've never said that.
Right. Right.
I'll have a reason why it's still good, even though it's totally not.
Exactly. So this reminds us that justification only hurts us. It doesn't help us in the long run. So, and here's the thing about the 6 benefits: mind, body, me, others, now, and the future. We only want to do something if it's good for all 6. If it fails any one of the 6, then that's our opportunity to say, no, this isn't good for me. This isn't what I want to do. Now, this is important because if we do this practice and we go against the wisdom that we get, that is what is actively destroying our ability to decide and destroying our intuition. So what I would say is this is the most challenging piece, this one. And yet if we practice it just a little bit, we will begin to improve our own intuition and we'll begin to have more confidence in our decisions, and decision making won't be so fraught with anxiety and fear. Yeah.
So can I recap this? So we've got reframe.
Yes.
And that's really all about going back and looking for the positives and, kind of flipping the old story into the even better story. And really, what you talked about is that plan B.
Correct.
Okay. And then once you kind of get yourself out of the energy of the past that's no longer serving you, really finding a way to ground and respond in the present moment from that solid base, this nice rooted feet, and drawing in that breath so that you can be really, almost feels like flexible and adaptive, and also have access to all of that information that's available to you that you can, when you're not in a altered state of fractured or scattered or anxious, that you can go, oh, I can think straight, I can think clearly.
Exactly.
And then from there, stepping into the last piece, which is these 6, what almost sounds like principles or ways of being.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 6 benefits. This is how we decide whether something's good. So, and this all goes back to the actual practice of these steps that I've shown you. It's called the 4 accumulations of the 12 wisdoms. It's an actual Buddhist practice. And we go through other dynamics, self and others. And this is just 1/4 of it, one piece of it. It's the self-confidence piece. So I've literally taken you through the whole thing. It's very practical, everyday wisdom. So, and I did promise you a mantra as well.
Yes, you did.
Yes. And the mantra. And you're welcome to repeat it to yourself as a shorthand for all of this, or write it down, scrawl it on the mirror. That's one of my favorites, with a dry erase pen. Put it in your
lipstick.
Yeah, lipstick on that works with pitch. And these are short, and these will help you build your self-confidence. And the first one is, I can do that. I can do that.
I can do that.
I can do that. And the second one was brought to me just today, right? Because whatever we think about, we attract. And so I happened to mention to a colleague, and she said, that's so weird. I was in this store the other day and I picked up this thing which I forgot to bring with me, but I bought it for you, and it says, actually, I can.
Oh, beautiful.
It's so great that she didn't bring it, because I don't need more stuff, but that she gave me that was such a huge gift, right? Actually, I can is amazing. So I decided to add that to my mantra list. Self-confidence.
That's beautiful. And I think of the word actually, it's almost like there's a power in that word. Well, actually,
yes.
There's a real interesting gesture that just kind of oomps it up even more for me.
I like the attitude that it has. Actually, I can.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for all the tips. I have some questions, just some personal questions that I'd love to explore with you, because I've watched you really beautifully blend in your Buddhist teachings, your writing, and coaching into this gorgeous way of really helping people to kind of lift up and really sense who they are and embrace their wholeness and become that self-confident person. And what I'm really curious about is, whatever made you land this territory as a coach? Like, what was your story that brought you here?
The self-confidence piece?
Yeah. Why is that important to you?
It really was. I definitely coach myself. The clients that I definitely attract people like me. And what I realized at some certain point was I was attracting people who needed to work on fear. They were afraid of their own shadow, afraid of making a move, that it wouldn't be perfect. And I made it my study to look into what this was about. And I realized that this self-confidence meditation that I was given as a practice was helping me so much. And it was just literally practicing it myself.
And it sounds like as you developed your own inner confidence and, really grew, then other people sought you out because you've traveled the road.
Well, it's true. And I go every summer, I go on retreat, and my lineage of Buddhism, the lineage I belong to, is a teaching lineage. So we are actually trained to be teachers. And we are put through all the paces where we're made to stand up and teach to the whole group. And then we accept beneficial criticism, and we're given, we look at everything, our tics and our, everything. It's really rigorous, and to be able to have the courage to do that. Well, they say that you don't have to have the courage first. You develop the courage by facing what you fear. So I have heard, I don't know if you know this, if you've heard this, that the fear of public speaking is one of the worst fears that people have.
Number one.
It is, right? So here I was facing one of those number one fears, and having to speak spontaneously. And so facing that fear I can tell you, is what has given me the confidence. And I just want to share that with others, because it's not a magic, super secret thing, and it's not something that you have to be born with. It is something that you develop.
I wholeheartily agree. So I'm curious, what's next for you? Are you offering some workshops, some one-on-one coaching? Talk a little bit about your business.
Well, I am in a period of rebranding myself. I just sent my son off to college. So yes, it's a really great moment for me. So I gave myself a few months to mope around the house in my bunny slippers. And then now I'm definitely working on marketing myself as a coach, marketing my coaching offerings. Workshops, definitely Buddhist teachings. I teach every month. So there's more information on my website. People are welcome to follow my newsletter and get on board, and I'll keep everyone in the loop on what offerings I have. But it's more things along this line, very practical, very grounded, very usable, everyday wisdom. So, and I also want to throw in one other side benefit that I forgot to mention about increasing your self-confidence.
Yes.
When we do these practices, we find that we find all that sacredness that we want in our life. Our life begins to have more meaning. It begins to have meaning, and we begin to stop looking outside of ourselves to find that meaning and that sacred aspect. And because it just starts to bubble up from inside. And
well, it's interesting because you've used the word practical so much. And as I'm listening to you, there's a real spiritual element of it that's more accessible.
Yes, the word spiritual, I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with it, because I don't think it's often well defined. We live in a multi-religious, multicultural environment, and one person's spiritual is not another person's spiritual. It's very unique. So spiritual usually means not material, and really all it really means to me and to my Buddhist practice is it means looking at my thinking more than what's external to my thinking. So, and I find the word practical is better because it's a new idea, especially for Americans, to think about their thinking.
I agree.
Thinking about our thinking is actually the most important thing according to Buddhism. And I would like to be the person who spreads this idea.
You are the person who's spreading this idea.
I want to look at my thinking first and get other people to look at their thinking and to realize my thinking is what is the cause of everything I experience. So,
absolutely.
There are conditions out there. There are conditions I don't have any control over. However, my thinking I do have control over, and it's the most important aspect of anything that I'm experiencing.
And I really appreciate that because it's so true. Your thinking is something you can control. And there are so many ways. And I love the tools you've shared with us today because that will help many people just for even watching this video to be able to go, okay, I can take control of my thinking. And then all of a sudden everything else shifts in really beautiful ways.
Yeah, I truly believe this. I live this every day. And my life continues to improve day in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out.
Amen. Hallelujah. However I want to say it. My thinking is good.
Yes, I rejoice.
So, Carrie, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you think might be valuable for other people to hear at this point?
Oh, anything that we didn't talk about? I think we've covered everything from what coaching is to what the present moment is. How to, I mean, you can apply this to making your New Year's resolutions. It's still January, and I know a lot of us have fallen off the wagon. And if we look, you know, in that rear view mirror just a little bit and just give ourselves the gift of analyzing, okay, what went well and what didn't go well last year. And then focus on what went well, and then do more of that, that our New Year's resolutions will be more likely to stick.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. It's always a delight. And I have to say, you are one of the most amazing background designers too. So not only massive wisdom, but beauty, you know, from you and your background.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, Feroshia. I really love your work, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am without your expertise, and all the coaches that you turn out are doing good things. So thank you for your work in the world, Feroshia.
Thank you. All right, everybody, check out Carrie at her website. I'm going to kick her in the butt to get her marketing gear out. That's who I am. So, awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.